The Crescent Moon Club, in association with ABT, presents Omnibus Unlimited, a roundtable discussion of provocative subjects which must be addressed today. A new philosophy for the third millennium. Hello again, everyone. I'm Laurence Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited. Tonight, from our ABT studios in Dover, our topic for discussion is the atomic Armageddon. With us to address this subject is psychic healer and medical technician Tom Murray. Tom, thanks for being here this evening.
Good evening, Larry, and good evening, John. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. Communications expert Kevin Smith. Kevin, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me here, Larry.
I know you're a little bit under the weather, but thanks anyway. And, of course, seeker, reader, and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan. John, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I guess parental discretion is strongly advised because this one's kind of a downer. This is the question.
Yes, normally here on Omnibus Unlimited we discuss rather lighthearted, interesting shows such as the Crawfordville Monster, and I think my favorites are the monster stories, but tonight we talk about the atomic Armageddon. And a topic which at first our listener might think about in terms of the nuclear powers attacking each other, an all-out nuclear war, the United States versus the Soviet Union, and then of course Great Britain and other France, other nations coming involved. But now with the breakup of the Soviet Union and more of a capitalistic type society evolving there, although it is painful for them, and my heart goes out to the people of the former Soviet Union. One might also think that, well, now that the Soviet Union has broken up, they need money, and the best way to get money is to sell nuclear weapons. And by doing that, now underprivileged countries that want to be one of the haves instead of the have-nots now begin a nuclear holocaust, and the world is history, as it were. But then again, there are other ways for the Earth to be destroyed. Certainly, all-out atomic war would do it, since we have enough weapons to destroy human life. I might add, not destroy the Earth. It would certainly change the Earth, but it would not destroy the Earth. It would only destroy human life as we understand it. And many people in the religious areas would call this something that was predicted by the prophets, something that perhaps God is doing, although I cannot see a benevolent God destroying us. He would no doubt, he or she, or it would no doubt let us destroy ourselves. But there is another way, which would also be looked at upon as religious in nature, and that would be a solar event, perhaps. The sun has an unexpected flare-up, which decimates the Earth. Such things occur all the time throughout the galaxy and indeed the universe. The Earth itself could go through convulsions, thereby shaking us off, as it were, as a bad case of fleas, getting rid of the pesky humans who are polluting and changing the Earth for its the life forms, such as animals and insects. But what about this? Tom Murray, psychic healer and medical technician, we have three distinct ways that this Earth could be destroyed in a nuclear fashion. We do it to ourselves through nuclear war. The Earth does it to us in the form of cataclysmic events. The solar system does it to us. The sun, Sol, reaches out and slaps us, as it were, and destroys all of us in one stroke. What about that, Tom? What do you see? You definitely have, we've talked before, and you have some definite insight as to our upcoming future right around the year 2000. go into a little bit of that, and please elaborate on the atomic Armageddon.
Thank you, Larry. Just before I get into that, I'd like to state that, the term the benevolent God could not destroy the earth. I think he's just about wiped out the human race several times and recreated them. For instance, in the Bible story, and all ethnic groups have a story about the Great Flood, and it was recognized that this Great Flood happened about the time that there was a magnetic shift of the poles in the earth, and that the earth changed its orbit, creating tremendous flooding, tremendous earthquakes, tremendous volcanoes worldwide, and most civilizations were wiped out, and people had to go back to tribal type of existences. In the Bible, the story of Noah is an example of one family's reaction to the situation and how they handled it. Of course, there's many other cultures, many other areas of the world that had their Noahs who had to survive this flood, earthquake, devastation, and continue to grow. So getting into what I feel is going to happen around the year 2000 is what in the Bible is known as the Armageddon again, but in which the Earth is going to have to correct its own geomagnetic field and rebalance its own north-south polar effects. As a result, you're going to have about an 8 hours time period in which the Earth stops its rotations. It's going to tumble, it's going to wobble, it's going to slow down to about 0 miles per hour. And then it will start to balance out and begin its spin again. All objects in the solar system that are alive, in the sense that can support life, have to have an orbit which has a spin about it. This spin creates a hot, molten, lava-like core in the center of them, and a crust, a hard external crust on the outside, which we call land masses. And on most of the planets, this could be interspersed with, say, a Martian mist, or on the Earth, oceans. The Earth is one of the planets in the solar system, and one of the planets of many solar systems that's almost ideal to support life and to support the souls. The benevolent God does not destroy the planet. He might destroy human life, but human life is a transient thing. As Dan Murray likes to say, the average lifetime of the Roman was something like 50, 60 years. The lifespan of the average person now is 72 years, but your soul lasts forever. And you're taught that what's important is your soul, not your life. I also believe in reincarnation, as does about 2/3 of the rest of the world outside of the western United States, North America, and South America. And there are many people in the United States, including Emerson, Thoreau, and other writers of the transcendental era, some of our most famous poets and authors, Hawthorne, for instance, who believed in reincarnation also. The Roman Catholic Church does not deny reincarnation as a valid theory of belief. So, having been raised in that tradition, I don't feel that I'm at conflict with that. The famous psychic of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and early 50s, Edgar Cayce, also spoke of reincarnation. He was a Baptist Sunday school teacher. So we have to look at these issues. And if you exist on the earth plane and your soul continues to exist on other planes and other dimensions, the earth plane is not the only place that we are at. As far as the future Armageddon goes, let's say take the year 2000. Ruling out any warfare, if the earth stops its spin, you're going to have tremendous flooding, volcanoes, earthquakes, trees will be snapped in two, buildings are going to fall down, and what's going to happen to all the nuclear reactors that are built right near the ocean? A good example would be the one in Plymouth. They're going to fall into the sea, the structure's going to crack open, and you'll basically have what's called a China syndrome of these nuclear reactors.
Now, communications expert Kevin Smith, we've been, as I mentioned in my opening speech, as some people might say, there are various ways to die of a nuclear or atomic holocaust. And Tom has talked about one. The Earth begins a significant decline. How do you see that? Is there anything that could account for this naturally? And when I say naturally, I'm talking about in terms that we can understand. Perhaps a foreign body passing close to us or by us, which would cause this to happen, or would it be some sort of metaphysical type, perhaps even religious way? But talk about that. Do you see that happening? Do you share Tom's vision? Talk a little bit about that.
First off, Larry, I'd like to point out that in the beginning of the program you said that the Russians may start selling their nuclear technology, which they are doing not in the form of bombs, but in the form of an energy resource that is a large export for the new Russian community, is selling the technology that they've gained throughout the Cold War in the nuclear field. So yes, you are seeing a lot of high energy reactive plants that are being built in third world countries to try to procreate plutonium out of uranium, and that's going to lead to there's going to be a lot of material around. Could there be a lot of power plants? Yeah, there could be a lot of power plants. Could there be a lot of bombs? Yeah, there could be a lot of bombs. To get back to your question of what could cause such a shake or a shudder in the Earth's rotation, as to cause such cataclysmic events, there is evidence that this planet has already been struck by a meteor that was large enough to, for a short period of time, change the entire world climate, and actually, decimate the living animals at that time, and then since then a new race and so forth has taken over. We're finding that the Gulf of Mexico is actually the spot where it landed. There's a huge hole or dent in the earth, and that's pretty much probably where it happened. So that yes, a large body traveling near or striking the earth might cause it to shake, wobble, stop for a short
Yeah, but why do you mention something striking the earth? I didn't say something from the outside was going to enter the Earth's atmosphere and stop it on its rotation. There isn't a meteorite big enough to stop the Earth's rotation.
Tom, I'd beg to differ with you there. There's a lot of big meteorites traveling at very fast speeds throughout our solar system, and just the right amount of weight at just the right amount of speed and just the right location could have the effect of slowing down the rotation enough.
My question remains, why do we have to have a meteorite strike the Earth to keep it from going in its orbit when geophysicists have told us that many, many times the Earth has changed its polarity? It's literally changed its orbit. And that's when the ice ages come and go. It's not that the ice shifts, that the poles melt and it gets hot and the whole world's hot and then it gets cold again, but that the location of the poles change. That has nothing to do with a meteorite striking the Earth. That has to do with the Earth itself, the Gaia, as you will, a living 9 decibel vibration rate organism that has volcanoes in some areas and ice packs in others, going through its shift to balance out its electromagnetic field on its 24,000 year cycle to stay in the proper orbit with the sun and with the other planets in the solar system. This isn't a question of a meteorite coming to Earth, stopping the planet from rotating, and then it starts rotating back normal again after the meteorite smashes into it.
Right, you're suggesting that this is something which is controlled perhaps by the molten core at its center.
By the Earth. The entire
by the
planet.
Earth itself.
Yes.
Okay.
And balancing out the molten core with the cooler outer surface, routinely ships sail, and after a period of time, ships that sail on the ocean. Now this is on water. They have to be demagnetized, otherwise you can't navigate with them because the needle compasses are too far off. Your needle compass does not point to true north anymore. It has been gradually shifting out of phase. It's about 17 degrees out of phase now. Usually they figure when the Earth is 20 to 30 degrees out of phase, it goes through a cataclysmic, what we call an ice age. There's been at least 18 of these in the last, I think it's 1 million years. Now take 1 million, divide by 18. It doesn't mean they have to happen exactly divided up by 18. But take 1 million years and start dividing it up by 18, and you don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousand years that these average out, but shorter periods of time.
And so you're suggesting then that
We're due.
in the next 7 years we will experience a shift, a polarity of somewhere between 3 and 13 degrees. Is that correct?
No, a shift of between 20 and 30 degrees.
In just 7 years between now and...
No, in 1 year, in 1 day.
Wow. Now that
For
is...
8 hours, the Earth will slow down its orbit, start to wobble, and then stop. And then it will shift. And by the next day, you're going to have it in new latitudes, new longitudes, new North Pole, and new South Pole. That's what I state.
And if you're just joining us, the name of this program is Omnibus Unlimited, radiovision for the 21st century. Tonight we're talking about atomic Armageddon. And joining us, of course, as you've been listening to, is psychic healer and medical technician Tom Murray, communications expert Kevin Smith, and reader and seeker for Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan. Kevin, you wanted to say something here, yes?
Dan, I just wanted to ask you, you narrowed it down to 1 day.
Tom, you mean Tom.
Tom, I'm sorry, Tom. You narrowed it down to 1 day. Would you narrow it down to 1 moment?
Well, I don't know. You get a big landmass there. How long does it take it to slow down?
Well, even in 1 day,
I am told it'll take...
Speak about your own landmass.
I'm told it'll take about 8 hours, and that during this 8 hours, most people will feel this tremendous amount of rumbling. It'll feel like an earthquake, like a strong earthquake, but things aren't falling down. You drive your truck fast, you hit the brakes, screech, 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 truck shakes and so forth. That type of feeling. You'll have 8 hours to get together with the people that are going to be there to take you to a safe place, or if you're going to do it on foot or by boat or by car, to drive to your safe place. The thing now is to start tuning in where that place is. Now, when this happens, because of the tremendous decrease of the natural velocity, trees will snap in two, they'll travel dozens and dozens of miles, the oceans will swing back and forth, causing the tidal floods. This is what's described in the Bible, and this is what's described in the Indian culture, the American Indian culture, and in the Alaskan culture, and in the African cultures, about this great time in which these land masses of water washed over, continents sank, and other continents rose up. The Chinese writers of 5,000 years ago say that there was a time that from the history of man, that the Chinese remember that the sun has risen in the north and in the east 4 different times. So the history of the Chinese people have seen 4 shifts. And so I figure that's probably about 200,000 years. I know that we believe that civilizations have only been on the earth for about 50,000 years. But I believe that our present cycle of human beings, Homo sapiens, that we think of ourselves as human beings, have been here for 100,000 years on the planet on the continent Lemuria and on the continent Atlantis, and that Lemuria sank through the leakage of natural gases beneath it, but that Atlantis blew itself up because of misuse, and that there was a tremendous amount of clouding in the area, like Mount St. Helens, because they abused the use of a crystal. But that 100,000 years ago, there was the flood that's written about in the Bible and that other ancient peoples remember. And I believe that this one, about 100 million people will remain. I know there's about 3 billion people in the population. You can kiss 2 billion goodbye, because they're just not going to listen.
Well, it's fascinating and frightening. If trees are going to snap in half, it's hard to believe how humans will survive. And I think that perhaps the survival rate of 1 billion people under the conditions that you are describing would be...
There'll be tremendous windstorms, because, number one, the winds follow currents. If you notice, the wind is always on, if you look at a map of the United States and you watch a weather report, they always describe the weather in California, and then North Dakota, South Dakota, and then the Midwest, and it goes from west to east. Our weather goes west to east. Weather has a direction. If you stop what's underneath the weather, take something heavy, put it on your car, drive 60 miles an hour, slam on the brakes. Whatever's on top of your car, if it's not nailed down, is going to go flying. The same thing. The weather goes in a certain direction, west to east. You slam on the brakes of the earth, that weather's going to keep right on going, and it's going to create tremendous heat in hot areas. The areas that are warm are going to get cold. The area that's not facing the sun, there will be an instantaneous drop in temperature. This is how the cavemen and the dinosaurs instantly were frozen. That's how you make instant coffee today. You brew coffee, then freeze it. Well, that's what happened. I mentioned before on the moon, I was disputed by that, but then somebody else looking up on experiences in NASA, the dark side of the moon is cold, extremely cold, and it's always cold. And the bright side, the side facing the sun, is always hot, extremely hot. You would get burned on the bright side, and you would freeze on the dark side of the moon. The Earth that is away from the sun will get instantly cold, just like freeze-dried coffee. The other side will get extremely hot. As the planets balance itself out on its polarity, you're going to have, what it will look like will be the land masses go north and south. They will twist. The latitude of land masses will change. I believe that the weather in New England will become like the weather in South Carolina. It is said to me that everybody above 58 degrees latitude will be in a pretty good position and fairly safe from drowning and floods. But those are the areas where there's a lot of ice, which means the ice there is melting and going south and east. And the places such as Hawaii, will travel north, if not get submerged. Hawaii supposedly is the northern tip of Lemuria, an ancient civilization that sank off the coast of California, South America.
Very, very interesting. So, how do we prepare for something like this? Do we head for locations above 58 degrees latitude, or?
That's one thing.
Yes, Kevin.
Dan, the circumference of the Earth is roughly 27,000 miles, and you're saying that in a 8-hour period of time, it's going to go from completing one cycle, 27,000 miles a day, to 0 miles per hour in 8 hours, and at that rate, it would be slowing down greater than 200 miles an hour every hour.
Why not? We got planes that go faster than that, and they're man-built.
You know, they have there's a clock at the Science Museum, and it's run on perpetual motion, and they say that if there was absolutely no friction, which there is, it's friction with the air, that pendulum would go forever. Well, same with spinning a basketball. If you can spin a basketball on the tip of your finger, if there wasn't that friction, that basketball would spin forever. So I can't see the Earth ever stopping. I can never see it in my mind.
Unless, of course, there was some force to stop it, because as Einstein pointed out, in order to go in a direction, you must have an equal and opposite force to create that, or to slow it down. And that, of course, was our weathercaster Damon Nobile, who's just joined us in our ABT studios. John, anything to add? You've been patiently sitting and listening and chiming in from time to time, but what Tom describes is indeed a cataclysmic event of proportions which only very few people get to see.
If you put children with razor blades, somebody's going to get cut and there's going to be some serious stitches. There's just so many nuclear weapons around the world today, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. I see, as you mentioned in your monologue, the Soviets selling off. Why not to terrorists? They already have them. Will one be detonated against the United States in a terrorist action? I think so. I think New York City or Washington, D.C. are terrorist targets.
So you see a military Armageddon,
Absolutely.
a human war, rather than some other natural disaster.
You touched on a few things. You said a CSE, cosmic solar event, which was prophesized at Fatima. Also prophesized at Fatima by the lady in blue was that the bear and the eagle shall take up arms against the yellow peoples of the world. And the Mother Mary, or the woman in blue, started appearing in Yugoslavia, particularly Medjugorje, in the early 80s, long before Yugoslavia broke up as a republic. And she has been some sort of a premonition or oracle for the beginning of World War II. For instance, she told the kids, I believe, at Lourdes that there would be a tremendous auroral display prior to the Second World War, which there was over 6 and 7 nights in 1938 over Europe. There was the most brilliant aurora borealis display in history, or up in astronomical history up to that point. So now she's appearing. She's appearing in North Korea. Now, have you looked at the news? Have you looked at who's developing nukes? Who's gonna, and what is Uncle Bill in the Wild Wild West, known as the UN, gonna do? And I saw her on Meet the Press, this show being recorded in December of 1993. I saw that they're going to have to address this within the next 30 days or so, prior to 1994, because that's when the next UN inspection is due. So I think that what Tom says is true. Is it going to stop on its own or due to a cosmic solar event? Perhaps we're ripe for that, as Tom explained. Are we ripe for decimating our planet through nuclear annihilation? Yeah, the time's right. I'd say the trigger is cocked. So where's it going to begin? I think that it's right around the corner, literally. Maybe it'll have already begun by the time the show airs. I think North Korea is where it's going to start. North Korea will invade South Korea, and then the Chinese get into it. The Chinese don't like us. They were jilted over Beijing, the 2000 games, which are going to Sydney, Australia, and not Beijing. And there are numerous gross human rights violations, but that's where it will begin. That's the flashpoint.
Well, that's very interesting. Tom talks about the Earth decimating human life. John talks about humans decimating human life. Kevin, you've talked about asteroids, and many researchers at the University of Massachusetts that I've spoken to personally are amazed that we have not been decimated by an asteroid to this point. There is a lot of stuff out there. And I, of course, I am not by any means convinced that we will have, in my lifetime anyway, a cataclysmic event of such magnitude that we're discussing. But if it does happen, I think it will be of the solar type, because there are indications of diminished neutrino activity over the years from our sun. And some have speculated that this is an indication that our sun is dying very quickly for some unknown reason. And so if it does happen in my lifetime, I expect that it will be that time. Yes, John?
Just for your thinking, the more sunspots on the older the star, sunspots are similar to liver spots on humans, and there is going to be a huge solar upsurge in 1994 and 1995.
So we have, I think it would be interesting if all of these things happened at the same time. We start setting off some nuclear bombs, the Earth slows down, an asteroid hits us, and the sun explodes. In which case,
it has been reported by
we're in big trouble.
That the rotation of the Earth
the weather
has changed.
Cataclysmic weather.
Actually speeded
right,
up.
Thomas.
There's also been mentioned about 4 days ago on the news that the movement of an older ice pack up by this ice region was moving at 50 feet a day instead of 50 feet a week instead of 5 feet a week. The Japanese have developed a titanium and lithium metal that will float on water. Now that's an impossibility, metal that floats on water. Why does a landmass of ice suddenly move faster? Why does the Earth exhibit a certain irregularity in its spin that's been observed by geoscientists even in our own lifetime.
Well, very interesting, but that will have to end our discussion of atomic Armageddon. I'd like to thank our guests for being here this evening, psychic healer and medical technician Tom Murray. Tom, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you, Larry.
Weathercaster Damon Nobile. Damon, thanks for dropping in.
I think you should expand the show to 60 minutes.
Possibly we will. Communications expert Kevin Smith. Kevin, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Larry.
And, of course, seeker, reader, and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan. John, thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry.
And hopefully we'll have enough time to do many more of these shows. Although after this show, I'm not so sure. For our audience, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or if you'd like to be a guest on Omnibus Unlimited, the address to write to is Omnibus Unlimited, Box 577, Dover, Massachusetts, 02030-0577, and all letters will be read on upcoming episodes of Omnibus Unlimited. I'm Laurence Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited, saying thank you for your attention, good night, and good luck. Omnibus Unlimited is a presentation of ABT and the Crescent Moon Club. The views expressed on this program are those of the guests, and not necessarily those of this station or ABT. This program is the property of ABT. Any broadcast, rebroadcast, or other use of the accounts and descriptions of this copyrighted telecast without the expressed written consent of ABT is strictly encouraged. Copyright 1993 by ABT.